In my dream, I stood on Mercer's dilapidated wooden dock before the mighty St. Lawrence River in my two-piece cobalt blue spandex bathing suit. The sky above me was gray and swirling, the water below me green and frothy. The waves seemed to have little teeth. Did I care? I stood there doing my best Olympic diver imitation. I sprang into the air and sliced into the water. It was a perfect 10. Once I was in the water, I saw that it looked like a Jell-O parfait in a Tupperware cup. The top layer of water was kiwi colored, the color of old sea glass, and where there should have been a layer of whipped cream, there was a thin, thin layer of light. I swam through the green water in the layer of light, and then I was in chocolate, brackish water, another layer of light, and then I was in the lowest level, crystal clear, warm, ocean-like water. I swam down to the sandy bottom, took out my hand, and started to sweep at the sand. I was looking for something. And when I didn't find it, I would stop sweeping, swim, and sweep somewhere else. And I just kept doing that. Swim, sweep, stop. Swim, sweep, stop. And then I found it. I was raised in a small town in northern New York, in the heart of the Thousand Islands on the St. Lawrence River, in a very Catholic town. My birth date is August 15th, which is the day that Mary, Queen of the Heavens, ascended to live at the right hand of the Father and the Holy Spirit and her Holy Son, Jesus. So that is my real name, Regina Marie Carpenter. And yeah, I am truly a storyteller. Well, growing up in Clayton was magical and horrible. So I come from a family that was always known as trouble. And so that part, because I'm the youngest of 5 and my dad was the youngest of 6, there was sort of those carpenter kids kind of thing. Oh, to be a carpenter kid, well, you know, to be a carpenter kid is to be fully alive because it was horrible and magnificent. My dad had really severe PTSD from World War II, and so he would just lose his temper, lose his mind, and that was scary. But it was also magnificent because my dad had a very charismatic personality. And every Friday night, all the kids from the neighborhood would come over and we would play cards or games. But we were, you know, poor white trash, right? And for a long time, I felt ashamed of that. But then I came to see, you know, that old saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And I began to see that although people called us trash, we were a treasure. To be a carpenter is to be a treasure. The hard parts about growing up in Clayton really weren't about Clayton. They were more about being a carpenter in Clayton, being me in my family. So, when I was 12, I sank into a very deep depression. A big part of my mental illness was really that my home life was kind of untenable. I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have anyone to show me a way out. The way that I responded was just to snap. It started in the fall when I started to seriously consider suicide. First, I tried to jump in front of a truck, and my mom came out and got me, and then I was taken to a clinic for a few weeks in Watertown, New York, and then from there it was decided that I needed more care, and so I was taken to Ogdensburg. And there was just in the midst of this kind of Dickensian environment, there was such kindness and thoughtfulness and generosity. I mean, I was really fortunate. Also, you know, as frightening as that was, it was better than my home life. So, you know, in comparison, I was very lucky. Oh, well, you know, opportunity, you know, the window was open and I wanted out. So I ran away. But then freezing to death wasn't so great. That was such a mystical moment of watching the trees swirling and the wind and the quiet and the snow, and then knowing I was starting to freeze to death, and I was really tired and I wanted to lie down in the snow, and then realizing that I didn't want to die. And that was the turning point for me. A gold coin, a big gold coin left by Blackbeard or some other Revolutionary War pirate during the Revolutionary War when he was going through trying to kill Napoleon. I snatched up the gold coin. I swam through the clear water and the layer of light, through the brackish water and the layer of light, and then I was in the green water. Now I could see the sun shining like a portal up into the air, and I swam up towards it. But then I realized that I had stayed down a little too long and I didn't have as much air as I thought left, and so I started to swim faster. But it seemed like the faster I swam, the higher the water went. I flutter kicked faster, but the top of the water just kept moving up. No matter how fast I kicked my feet, the top of the water just kept going up and up and up. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. I have to take a breath. 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 And then I took in a big watery breath and found myself sitting bolt upright. In my bedroom, I had painted my astrological colors of yellow and orange. My sheet was all tied around my feet. I was sweating. And then I saw it. The gold coin. I could feel it poking into my palm. I had it. I had brought it up from the dream world. It was mine. I turned away and slowly uncurled each one of my fingers, and when I looked back, I saw nothing. I didn't have a gold coin. It was my fingernails poking into my palm. My hand was empty. I cannot tell you how disappointed I was and how unfair that seemed to me, because hadn't I gone down and made it back up, and that coin should have been mine. When I went back to the hospital, then I wanted to get well. And I decided that I wanted to go home and I would just get through home so that I could graduate from high school and get away. Before I became a professional storyteller, I had quite accidentally gone to see another professional storyteller, David Novak, and he was so incredible that I just got the story bug. There was no huge plan, definitely. There was no plan that said, I want to become a professional storyteller. It was just like I fell in love with telling stories. And I wanted to do it because I wanted to get better at it. I had never seen another storyteller except David Novak. And so I didn't know that there were certain ways you were supposed to do things. So I developed my own style in isolation, essentially, because I just thought, oh, this would be fun. Oh, maybe I'll try it this way. Oh, I could put this song in, or oh, I could put a little rhyme there, or oh, look at this little finger play. There was nothing magical or kind of the white light moment. It was just that I wanted to do it. And I just kept saying, okay, where can I do it? How can I do it? How can I be better? And it really was just, I just fell in love with it. After my marriage broke up, my brother was killed in a car accident, and I was really close to my brother, and I started to drink. And at first it just seemed so innocent, and then I started to drink more and more and more, and it just really swept me up. So I realized I had an eating disorder, and about 10 years ago, I went in to a 12-step program for both alcohol and food. That has totally turned my life around completely. Because I had been in addiction since I was young, and this was the first time I started to live without addiction. So the 12 steps completely changed my life. I've always loved to tell stories. But when Tim was killed, I began to see that stories could be something more. And that something more was to help other people get through their hard times. And by then I had started to tell the story Snap about my mental illness. And I saw that that was a way for me to give voice to people who couldn't give voice to their own experience. So I began to see that stories were a healing element. And then after Tim was killed, I started to tell stories to help children with grief. From there, it went on. I was asked to tell stories to families who were grieving. And from there, I was asked to tell stories to therapists to help them understand how stories can help. Telling a story can help someone who's grieving. And I failed miserably at all of those things. I've not known what to tell. I've made a lot of mistakes doing it. But, you know, there's a lot to be said for just trying. As a woman, I'm most proud of my children. I have 2 sons, Will and Sam, and I just think they're so phenomenal. And, you know, they're just incredible men, and they've married incredible women. And as a storyteller, I'm most proud of my story Snap, my work with others around mental illness and grief. Those are the things I'm most proud of.
I had that dream every single night when I was a girl of 9 for 2 weeks. And after that, I forgot about the dream. I never thought about it. I never thought about it until my second son, Sam, was born. And Sam and I were coming back from the grocery store. I was driving that gray Chevy Impala I had. I bought it for $1,000. I got it because it had a digital clock. I thought that was very cutting edge. So Sammy and I, we were coming around the corner. I was trying to get home before the school bus dropped off his older boy, Willie. And Sammy was in the front. Now, his car seat was in the front. And now this was when you could still kill your kids in the front. And he was all covered with spit up and drool. And he was funky. And I thought, oh my gosh, this boy is so perfect.
And that's when the dream bubbled up from my unconscious and flooded my memory. And for the next 3 days, I could think of nothing but that dream. The anticipation, the struggle, the success, and my disappointment. The anticipation, the struggle, the success, and my disappointment.
What are you doing? Why are you bothering to remember this dream now? It's almost 30 years later. I thought of my life from the time I had had the dream to the time I remembered the dream. My anticipations, my struggles, my successes, and those disappointments.
I understood that that dream was given to me when I was just a little girl to show me how my life was going to go. The way all of our lives go, really. You see, life is a constant state of diving and emerging and diving and emerging over and over again. And as for the gold coin, we think we've lost it when we go down and struggle and we come up and we don't see it. We think we don't have it, but we do. Because the gold coin is you and your life. The anticipations, the struggles, the successes, and the disappointments. Those are your gold coins.